Good evening. MaldenTalks hosts its first broadcast of 2025 today, January 11th, with your dynamic new host personality, Joe Gray. Let's recount some of the top headlines from around the country and around the world. LA County fires still raging. At least 13 dead and nearly 200,000 told to evacuate. California leadership pointing finger at each other as to who is to blame. Some leaders in the Liberal Party at the national level trying to shift blame to the concept of climate change, while ignoring that basic preparations to fires in that area were not done. Many more people in Southern California blaming rampant mismanagement at the state level on down. In other news, Jimmy Carter funeral conducted peacefully this week. All living past and present American presidents attended the funeral, a very small president's club. Jimmy Carter was the trigger to get me interested in politics. I was caught up in the hype in 1975 and practically worshipped Jimmy Carter. Things waned a lot over the years due to the Panama Canal and the Iranian hostage crisis. I was forced to reevaluate my basic concept of politics around 1980 and beyond. In other news, Greenland opened to negotiations with Trump while insisting that they are an independent nation. The Denmark government changes its coat of arms to include Greenland more prominently. The wheels of history are happening right in front of us. In other words, in other news, Trump might be serious about naming the Gulf of America. Stay tuned. In other news, Trump somehow triggers the downfall of the Canadian Prime Minister. Justin Trudeau resigns after Trump threatens tariffs on Canada. You can't make this up. Trump is the first US president to be a convicted felon, but it seems hollow since no one knows exactly what he is convicted of, what the jury voted on, and why there are no penalties at all. I've never seen anything like this when the judicial system pretends to convict someone and then says it's not important enough to adjudicate any consequences whatsoever. In other news, more North Korean soldiers captured by Ukraine. Sad situation over there. The TikTok ban in the US likely to go into effect in coming days, unless the Supreme Court steps in. A royal espionage versus free speech mess, in my opinion. Rumblings that Tom Brady's sportcasting gig at Fox News is crumbling fast. Seems Tom is a little too honest with his play calls about action on the playing field. In other news, Zendaya engaged to Tom Holland. Very good. Much bliss and happiness. In other news, Maduro sworn in as new Venezuelan president despite election numbers. A lot of fishiness, the election numbers weren't confirmed, didn't seem to indicate that he won, but he's sworn in anyways. Oh well. In other news, nasty new COVID variant spreading out of China. World Health Organization ramping up alerts as virus overwhelms hospital systems. Back in the Caribbean, Trinidad imposed a state of emergency across the entire country to combat armed gang murders. There's little confidence in the police and army to restore order in the country of Trinidad. In other news, grooming gangs are still running rampant and raping young British women. The Labour government makes excuses to do nothing, and this has been going on apparently for years. And last but not least, we are still coming out of the winter, Christmas, New Year's holiday season, so no new significant news out of my local church and my local city of Malden to relate. And that's all we have to relate for this bi-weekly segment of Malden Talks with your dynamic personality and host, Joe Gray. Have a wonderful 2025, and there'll be more like this coming up.